Hi guys, good morning. Well, the harassment continues. I feel like I've been beat up by these people with this device, and y'all know that they're doing this. So first off, I guess we have to continue talking about fighting because out in Ohio, people have already been arrested for beating people up and calling them names. I don't believe in violence. I never have. I've always tried to show restraint because I grew up with a lot of violence, and violence can go horribly wrong. People enjoy violence. Some people like to engage in it just for fun of it. My mother would pile in the car with all of her friends and go to fights. Yeah, that's what she did. She would rather hang around with her friends like Rena, this woman called Red, who lost custody of her children, treated her oldest daughter horribly. Rena treated her oldest daughter, Sarah, horribly. I was treated horribly. She had a friend, Virginia, that treated her oldest daughter horribly. So this was the pattern down to East End. They were in fights with Linda Porth next door. I felt so bad for because Rolinda, there were suspicions around her tragic death. There were fights with a lot of the neighbors. My mother, she might have dementia because she seems to forget the horrible fight she had with Mrs. T-Bout that I've always felt bad about. I was going to not talk about it, but like I said, I think it's time to talk about some of this stuff. Certainly, it's time to put some of this stuff to rest, and these people need to stop. These people need to stop making up these allegations about the violence that went on down to East End. I don't recommend violence. I've never been a violent person, but these people have continued for a long time. And now it's spread out into the community while I watch innocent neighbors being run out of the neighborhood. Why I myself have watched my dogs be abused and watched other people, and now there's little kids involved, and I have a responsibility. Certainly, it just doesn't seem to be about myself anymore at this age. And these people need to stop. So we'll start out with East End. It'll probably come out a little jumbled because, once again, these are memories that are quite old. And Mr. Spencer seems to think that I forgot, that I don't remember correctly. Well, I think Mr. Spencer doesn't remember correctly. And certainly, pretending you're a police officer, Mr. Spencer, needs to stop. You need to get the facts correctly. Your friends Marie, Rena, Tammy, Carl, and Kevin, these people were always in fights down to East End, amongst other things. Always. Lisa Fumara. Oh, Lisa, do you remember all the fights? All the times you called me out to fight. All the violence down to East End. Okay, with Holly. Oh, yes, with Holly. And then the two of you turn around where we besties. I think, wasn't it you treated your stepdaughter Amanda very horribly? We can talk about that if you're lying about this young woman that I met recently. Her name was Amanda. Okay, she was treated horribly as a little girl when y'all babysat because you were too busy picking fights with me. There were lots of fights down there. Mrs. T-Bout in particular, with a latex paint can. And you owe everyone an apology, Mom, instead of lying about it and getting Robin and Ronald to lie. Okay, these people were violent all the time, you and your friends. And it was horribly. And I still feel sorry. And I apologize because I had to watch this stuff. I had to watch your constant violence. And primarily, it was directed at me. So I tried to move on with my life. But now you want to dig all this stuff up with your friend Phil Spencer and my ex-husband. And you're out there again making all this stuff up so more people are the victims of this while you continue to lie. Just like with Marie over there. Now, these people are corrections officers? You got to be kidding me. They've been violent right along. They were violent when they got Tom to kick me in the back on Crane Street and steal all my jewelry, but I let it go because Kathleen and Kenny ended up dead. Kathleen was crying for help too because y'all were harassing her. Okay, she ended up dead. You constantly were fighting with Renee. Constantly, all the time, and then she ended up dead. Or how about Betsy over here? Huh, you, Betsy? You were constantly tripping me, pushing me in the back with the car, and then you'd run to Flan and tell him you didn't do anything. Betsy, you were constantly violent. You constantly. Your sister was over Russo's recently going to start a big fight. I didn't even know your sister, Allison. You're all up there at City Hall going through my personal business. I asked you in a nice way to stop with your friend Ann Thane, but no, you were too busy all over there with Karen Hetrick. Making false allegations and threatening to assault me, for God's sakes. Or don't you remember that? This has gone on for a long time with you people. It went on with Holly and Brett Altman, didn't it, Holly? You used to pick fights with Carol Smith because you were seeing her brother. He was a biker. Don't you remember me even leaving me and Jen at that party one night, this biker bar? And I can get into more. There's lots more. This is just gives you a warm up about how violent these women and these men have been. And certainly Flan. Oh, we have a whole. They were beating up my neighbor, trying to beat up my neighbor before this all started, and getting himself another DWI. Okay, so there's been lots and lots of fighting with these people. Okay, lots of fighting, lots of fights. And my mother needs to apologize for this one with Mrs. T-Bow. While Holly was seeing John and Alex from the Kingdom Call. Yeah, you remember that, Georgia, the little householder skits? Wearing down resistance. She would turn beet red and get all these hives. 12 years old, but she was dressed up to look like a 16-year-old. And she was out there dating Alex and John. Alex, I think, was what, 23, Georgia? With all your violence up there and all this stuff with Tony all the time? Please, if anybody's been violent, it's you all, and you all need to stop. So then you picked a fight with poor Mrs. T-Bow over at John and Alex? Or Alex and John. Alex was the one, 23 years old. Holly's down there starting all this trouble with all these people. And then turning around and getting innocent people assaulted poor Mrs. T-Bow. It was a horrible situation. And that's just one fight. But that was probably the most horrible one down there. Carl and Kevin in trouble all the time. Now you're out to making yourselves out to be little choir boys. But I want to concentrate on Mrs. T-Bow because that was pretty horrible. All the woman did was come over and ask what was going on because you were making up this stuff with her husband, with her son. They did absolutely nothing. Chris T-Bow was a nice classmate of mine. And so was Ralph Camacho, at that time. But you pick these fights all the time with Orangos. My God, I just saw him. He was in prison. Starting trouble with Marie over at the treatment center, Holly. Your friends down from East End. I think you're forgetting who are the violent ones. And so was your brother in a lot of trouble, too. So we'll leave it there. But again, I'm very sorry that Mrs. T-Bow, that was a horrible situation. And y'all need to be ashamed of yourselves. You really do. Be safe out there, guys, because we'll continue, because these people here continue with their bullying and their violence.